What's up YouTube, here from Slifer War Games, bringing you the update to branded Despia, but this time we're going to include this bad boy here of Slifer the Sky Dragon. Now there is some beautiful synergy between the branded package and of course Slifer the Sky Dragon, including its brand new card of the revived Sky God, which lets you draw up to 7 cards, which is absolutely insane. So, with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. As a disclaimer, this is a fun build deck. The entire engine itself of the Slifers, which is basically 5 cards, can be exchanged out for more meta relevant cards should you want to. And off the back of that, as also, I've tried to make this as budget as possible. And what I mean by that is this actually includes cards that have just been reprinted in the Megatins of 2022 and of course the branded structure deck as well. So there's nothing in here that is going to break your bank if you want a slightly competitive budget deck. So it's basically built not to get its ass whooped every week. With all of that out of the way, let's dive headfirst into the profile and show you exactly what we have. So we start off with Triple Aluba, the Jester of Despia. This is on its 3rd print. Its original print came out in Dawn of Majesty. It then got a reprint in Ghost from the Past 2 and got a prismatic secret print in Megatins. Considering the Ultra Rares dropped to about 5 a piece, you should be able to get your playset very easily. We've then got 2 Despia Tragedy. This also got reprinted in Megatins as a common. So if you have a friend, it doesn't even need to be a good friend, you should be able to get them for free, if not very, very cheaply. The one Dramaturge and the one Adlabiton, both of these got reprints in the Megatins as well. So this has had 2 Ultra prints and of course a secret print in the most recent Megatins. This has had a super and a common, so it should be very, very easy to pick up. Then for the Fallen of Albaz, we played 2 Fallen of Albaz himself. Now, of course, this is on its 4th print, I believe. It had Ultimate Rare print, Original Secret print, Ultra Rare reprint, and then it also had a common print in the structure deck, so no reason not to have these. I am playing the Allure version because I believe it gains us as much advantage as possible, and it also allows us to kind of burn through our deck to get to the cards we need in the form of the revived Sky God. So 2 of this came in the structure deck. The one Albion, original print as a super and reprinted as a common in both the Megatins and the structure deck. And the last card, Fairy Tale Snow, it's had 2 OTS prints, 1 super, 1 common in the most recent OTS, and of course it also got its original print as a common. You should be able to pick this up, but I wouldn't worry about it because the chances are this card could get slapped on the ban list. So that's it for the branded monsters themselves. Moving on to the branded spells and traps. So we are playing at Triple Branded Fusion. Pretty straightforward and simple on that one. The way that this works is so good with the deck because you can send a Fallen of Albaz and you can send Slifer the Sky Dragon from your deck to the graveyard, pretty much setting you up for the revived Sky God, which, as I said at the start, lets you draw 7 cards. We then played Triple Branded Opening. This was a card you might have needed to exclude prior to the Megatins. However, so many Megatins have been purchased, and this is not technically one of the chase cards. Most of the people that are diehard branded fans would have upgraded their original supers to these secret rare ones, so the supers will be a lot cheaper and easier to get. You might even be able to get a playset for £10. We then play the one Despia Theatre. This is actually really important in this build because you're kind of sacrificing your branded fusion to get you into Mirror Jade to actually get you into the Brigade, purely because this is the way you get Slifer to the graveyard. You then still need a way of kind of getting it off the board, and that's where this comes in with your Aluba or any Despia monster to set you up with a Masquerade or a Quintiris. Both of them got very nice reprints. We then got the one Branded in Red. This was reprinted as a rare in the Megatins, so you've now got original super and rare reprint, so it should be very easy to pick up. And then Branded Lost, which came in the structure decks. We've then got the one Branded Banishment and the one Branded Sword. So Banishment was a super in Defo, which you can pick this up relatively easy. It'll probably be a couple of £. It's not an absolute must, but it is a card that does give you a lot of advantage because you banish the cards or banish the materials, so it does allow you to play around sprites and tier elements a lot more. The The branded sword are in here because, like I said, I am playing the Allure version, and off the back of the Allure version, you actually have ways of sending this to the graveyard, banishing it to give you your hand trap back. And I know a lot of you might be like, well, then that doesn't maximize the draw off of the Revived Sky God. Incorrect. Basically, the way you can work it is you can actually use that to protect your Sky God from being DD crowed, but you can also protect or use that negate up first and then draw. Like if your opponent doesn't know you have the Sky God, the Revived Sky God trap, then, you know, it's not really something they need to worry about. Carrying on, we've then got, after the branded spells and traps, we then start moving into the Edge Imp engine. Now, this is probably the most expensive engine of the entire deck, which is crazy, but because branded is kind of, or this engine isn't seeing as much play, now is the time to pick it up. You've got Edge Imp Chains as commons and supers, you've got Patchworks as ultras and rares, and you've got 101 polymerizations. I'm actually choosing to play one polymerization and one fusion substitute, and the reason that I'm doing it this way is because I'm not playing Guardian Chimera, so I do not mind only being able to fuse with my board. It does allow me to recycle some of my materials from the graveyard, even though I'm probably going to be using that with branded fusion anyway. It does still give me the option because I will be using it to get into the Brigade, the Glory Dragon, and then I have the ability to put the Glory Dragon back and get an additional draw. Moving on to the Slifer cards, we are playing one Slifer the Sky Dragon alongside two Revived Sky Gods. I know you might be like, whoa, why are you only playing two? Well, I am playing two Track Trick. Now, you could play 3 Revived Sun Gods if you want to, but the reason I've gone with Track Trick is just for that ability to try and deck thin a little bit. So in theory, we are playing 4 copies of Revived Sky God, and what the Revived Sky God does is its activation and its effects cannot be negated, meaning that it cannot be ashed and it cannot just be negated outright. However, it does not target Slifer in the graveyard, but it doesn't mean your opponent cannot banish Slifer from the graveyard or return it to the main deck, and then your Revived Sky God cries. However, if it does resolve, both players draw until they have 6 cards in their hand. The best way, as I mentioned on one of my previous profiles, to resolve this is when your opponent draws for turn, because then they will have 6 cards in their hand and you will make sure they get no advantage from this at all. It then has a secondary effect that you can banish it from the graveyard to target a monster reborn from your deck or graveyard and put it on top of your deck, which is why we play the one monster reborn. And then you can banish it from the graveyard to draw 1 card. So you get to draw into the Monster Reborn, which you might be like, well, what's the point in that? Quite simply, when Slifer is special summoned, at the end of the turn, it sends itself to the graveyard. So you're basically guaranteeing that you're able to revive it from the graveyard with this. It sends itself to the graveyard, you Monster Reborn, plus drawing for turn. So you're going to have 8 cards in your hand. You activate Monster Reborn, you bring back Slifer the Sky Dragon. It's going to be a 7,000 boss monster. And if your opponent summons anything in attack, it reduces its attack by 2,000, and if it hits 0, it will be destroyed. So it's a bit of a major floodgate, it's a massive, massive boss monster towers, and you've already replenished your entire hand. What more could you possibly want? So that's it for the Slifer cards and the Edge Imp cards. The final section of this deck is, of course, just the utility cards. So we are playing triple Allure of Darkness. Whether you are banishing your Edge Imps, your Tragedy, or your Merry Carrier, you are making sure you gain as much advantage as possible. Banishing the Edge Imps is more so going to be once you've done all of your deck thinning and searching. Obviously, it won't trigger its effect, keep that in mind. But you then get additional advantage off of banishing Tragedy, or the ideal scenario is banishing the Merry Carrier. We've then got 2 Super Polys, as you will need to be able to break boards, and the 1 Foolish Burial, because this will be able to trigger chains, it will be able to set up your play for your Merry Carrier, and it will also be able to trigger Tragedy. The Super Poly is there, like I mentioned, to break boards. It also gives you that option that should you open up multiple Trap Tricks, should you open up multiple routes, or if you open up the Slifer the Sky Dragon, you go, you know what, this is great. I can discard it to the graveyard, and then I can activate Branded Fusion to get me a Mirror Jade as well. Then you can use it to be discarded off of Super Poly. It's also a nice way to try and play around a DD Crow, but it really is format dependent. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. Pretty straightforward and simple on this one. We've got double Mirror Jade. I've got the 1 Albion and the 1 Alba Lunatus. I know Lunatus is about £10, so if you want it to be even cheaper than this, you just put in a second Albion. But the reason I've gone with this and this is it just gives me that ability, should I want to, or should I be facing a Dragon Link player, or a heavy Dragon player in general, I'm then able to actually contact fuse the board, which can come up and be very, very important. Off the back of that as well, it will also allow me to get to polymerization should I need it, but 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to want to go for your branded in red or your branded banishment off of the back of your Albion. We've then got the one Lubellion. This is mainly to get Snow to the graveyard to go into your Mirror place. Pretty standard on that one. And then we've got the Brigade, the Glory Dragon. Already explained this one behind Slifer the Sky Dragon because it needs a level 8 or higher monster. This then allows you to send Slifer from deck to grave. I've got the one Titaniclad because should you be able to get an Albaz on the board, you can technically super poly, or if you've got Albaz in the graveyard, you can bring it back and then fuse with Titaniclad or fuse with Slifer to get into Titaniclad, meaning that its end phase effect to destroy itself isn't just lost. You actually get to gain advantage off the back of it and get a pretty strong monster as well. We've then got two Masquerade the Blazing Dragons. So because we're not going to be using the Chimera, you kind of want something that's going to give you as much advantage as possible off of your branding in red. And obviously your Masquerade Dragon or your Quinteris are your best options. Not to mention the fact that both of these got reprinted, Masquerade as a super, so that is a nice and easy to get hold of, and then Quinteris as a secret, meaning the Ultras will be even easier to get hold of. It gives you a very defensive option, and it gives you a very time-winning consuming option as well. I've got the one Proskelion. You don't have to play this, I just kind of like it. I feel that it's one of them cards that if you super poly it out, you're wrecking an opponent's board, quite like if you super poly out a Typhorium. This is a little bit more expensive, but can easily be swapped out for a Mud Dragon. And then, of course, Garura as a Super Poly target, Starving Venom as a Super Poly target, and Dracus Tapelia. Commons, this is about £10. It's definitely worth having one of these in your collection, whether you're going to use it straight away or not, as it is incredibly powerful. And not to mention when it's sent from field to the graveyard, you get to, or just sent in general, I believe, you get to draw a card. So, like I said, the whole idea behind this deck is, yes, you've got consistent ways of getting Slifer to the graveyard, but you need consistent ways to get to the trap card, and that's where all of your draw power comes into it. Not only does it deck thin, but it also allows you to set up Banished Advantage and everything like that. Keeping in mind that the only cards that should be stuck in your hands would be a Mary Carrier, as we are not playing huge amounts of hand traps. And you can, even with the way the game works, set a Super Poly with no cards in hand, activate your Branded Glory or the Sky Dragon, draw 6 cards, and you're good to rock and roll from there. Anyway, that is it for the updated profile. I hope you enjoyed this. I will be bringing you another spicy version involving the Slifer. I'm just kind of contemplating and testing around with what this deck can offer, or what that engine can offer loads of trap decks around. I think it's really, really powerful and really, really fun. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And of course, happy dueling.